All right. Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for our launch of the Bingo Style Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm so excited to be a part of this and to guide you through how it's going to work, what we're going to do this month, how we're going to look after each other, how we're going to look after our self-care, our proactive self-care, and really how we're going to make a difference in the world when it comes to Mental Health Awareness Month. That's really what we're speaking about here. It's about me and you connecting, and about me and you looking at, and I suppose me and you finding ways of which we can proactively look after our own mental health when we speak about Mental Health Awareness Month. All right, so just a few things from my side. If this is the first time that we've met, hello again. My name is Grant from Mindful Revolution. Good to have you here. So you'll notice that the Q&A button, it looks as if you're asking a question. However, it is open to you right now and to any of your thoughts, any of your questions, any of your comments. You can pop those through to us on that Q&A. I know it says ask a question, but please, any comments you have, any thoughts you have, any ideas you have, any questions you would like to ask, please pop it in there, and we'll make sure that we publish them and make sure that we answer them as we go through. And I often find that the comments that you have, the thoughts that you have, the questions that you have, or the answers that you have are usually so impactful for all of us on this call. So it's not just me speaking, but instead you really sort of connecting and really being a part of the session. And I think it's of benefit for everyone on this call. So please, whenever you have a thought about something, whenever you have an idea, please pop it in the chat. Like I say, I know it says it looks like ask a question, but it comes across as a comment or a question, or you answering somebody else's, and then we'll make sure that we publish it. All right, good stuff. I see a few more people have joined us today, so maybe let's get started, right? Once again, welcome to our Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm going to ask you a question right now. Where are you at? How are you? Let's self-reflect for a moment, and let's use these 5 colors to do that. Let's use white, yellow, orange, red, and black. And I'm going to explain what each of them means right now, but I'm asking you to just connect with yourself right now, have a look, and tell me where you're at. Are you in the white state, the yellow state, the orange state, the red state, or the black state? Okay, what do we mean by these 5 states? Well, let's start from the bottom up. Pop it on the Q&A for me. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know where you're at. Let's start from the bottom up. Like I said, white is you are currently in control. You can think, you can solve problems, you can be rational, you can be creative. You're in a good space, right? Physically, mentally, and even though maybe the world around you is churning, you're in control. You can think. You can problem solve. You can be rational. You can be creative. You're in that white space. Maybe you're in the yellow space. Most of us are, I would say 80% of the time at work, kind of in the yellow space. In other words, the brain is still safe, but it's caught something, it's going through something, it's got a bit of, a little bit of turmoil, but it's there, right? It's safe. When you are in the orange state, your brain has now begun to get triggered. You feel slightly out of control, a little bit of worry, a little bit of fear. You're kind of like, oh, I might not be safe. I might not be safe. I'm a little worried about the future. I'm a little worried about my to-do list. I'm a little worried about what's to come. I'm a little worried about that meeting. I'm a little worried about that email. I'm reminiscing a little bit on something that happened. I'm a little upset about that thing. I'm kind of triggered, right? The red state is when the brain is telling you that you are now in danger. And this is where your body begins to prepare for that fight or flight. So that's when you feel slightly out of control. And then the black is when you feel completely out of control. So here you're not in control. You can't think clearly. You've been triggered. You're off to go. There you go, right? You're in fight or flight, as we call it. Where are you at right now? And I want you to just connect with either the body, either the thoughts, or the feelings. In other words, any of those 3 things can show you if you're in the white, yellow, orange, or black state. Try to have a sense of self-awareness for me. Pop it on the Q&A as it looks like a question, but just pop it on for me. Thank you so much. I see that there's Grant in the white today. Good stuff. I'm in the orange. All right. I'm in the orange, the yellow. Thank you so much. Okay, so just pop those in. And the reason why we're doing that is because we need a sense of self-awareness when we speak about our mental health. we have to look at ourselves, see where we're at, right? See what we're doing, see how we are connecting to it, see how we are connecting to ourselves. A nice little message popping in right now. It says, hey, I'm really happy to be here. I want to complete the challenge. Yes, please. Looking forward to learning more about my mental health. I'm currently in the white state. Sometimes I am in the yellow state. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And good to have you here. Alina, thank you for being part of the session. And I can't wait to walk the journey with you. Okay, so those white and yellow states. So what is Alina doing? Alina's looking at either her body, her mind, her thoughts. She's going, okay, cool. I'm in the white state. I'm in the orange state. Now, the reason why I started with this is when we speak about mental health, I want us to go through what's going on in the brain when it reacts to something outside of ourselves. What's going on in the body? What's going on in our behavior? How does it all sort of connect and relate to each other? Well, let's go through this systematically together. Okay. On the left-hand side of your screen right now, you'll see something that we call a trigger. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a what I would call sort of a scary thing, something that you are threatened by. Okay, so for example, maybe a wild animal. Okay, so you are confronted by a wild animal. Maybe not even a wild animal, maybe, well, I suppose a spider is wild, but you are confronted by a spider. Okay, I don't know if in Namibia you have spider issues, but I know we're in South Africa, definitely do, depends on where you are, obviously. I was in Natal, I think, KwaZulu-Natal in Durban. Jeez, I've never seen such a big rain spider in my life in my room once. Massive rain spider. I don't know if you get rain spiders in Namibia, but just right. Okay, so I see the rain spider. Okay, that's on the left now. So I've seen the rain spider. So what begins to happen? And I'm going to talk you through these steps, right? So the first thing is you have a sensory experience of the thing. Okay, so in this case, the spider. In other words, I see the spider, or maybe I hear the spider, or maybe I think I hear a spider, maybe I think I see the spider. So even if it's based in reality or not, my senses are far better at keeping me alive than my thoughts are. In other words, once I sense something, or I think I sense something, or the brain thinks it sees something, it already begins to prep you to fight the thing or to run away from the thing that it thinks is a threat. And this is done by the little part of the back of the brain called the amygdala. And literally, even before you can like consciously say to yourself, there is a spider, I am scared of spiders, already your body's good to go, right? Already your brain is telling your body to start getting ready to fight or flight. And that's kind of like the second part of the second circle, the physiology or the biology. In other words, what happens is the brain thinks it sees a threat. The brain tells the body to get ready to fight the spider or run away from the spider or just freeze so that the spider doesn't jump on you or see you. There's a fourth state, it's called the fawn state, but we don't really speak about that much. We speak about these three states, fight, flight, or freeze, right? So what's happening is the body is getting ready for these three things. So when it sees a threat, it automatically, biologically gets you ready to go, right? Gets you ready to go. Okay, so in other words, we are now in the biology, and there are technically three states of this biology. I'm not going to get too much into it, but noradrenaline, adrenaline, and cortisol. Okay, noradrenaline, adrenaline, and cortisol, and you are ready to fight or flight. You're ready to hit the spider. You're ready to run away from the spider. You're ready to freeze so that the spider doesn't jump on you. Now, here's the interesting thing, that once the body has this response, our thoughts now come into play. Our thoughts, and it's called co-emergence in the sense that it happens quite quickly. However, our thoughts now get involved. So our thoughts weren't necessarily involved in the beginning. The body and the thoughts almost come together, or the body a few split seconds before the thoughts, right? Now we start to think about these feelings, and that is called emotions. Those are called our emotions. So our emotions are when the body is biologically reacting, and my thoughts on those things equal my emotions. So now I am scared. Now I am angry, but I'm interpreting the body's response to the thing and adding on a layer of, okay, cool, I am angry. Now let's play this scenario out, and I'm going to give you another example There is a really famous story of a doctor. She's a psychologist. She's a research psychologist, sorry, sitting in the United States, and she's doing research. And one Friday afternoon, she's kind of bored. She's putting in yes, no answers into a computer. This is going and looking at the data, and she's kind of bored. And one of the guys that kind of fancies her in the lab, she knows he's asked her out on dates a few times. She hasn't really said yes. She doesn't really fancy him, or she thinks she doesn't really fancy him. He comes to her now on this Friday afternoon and says, hey, do you want to go grab a cup of coffee? And she's kind of bored because she's yes knowing, and she's like, you know what, what's the worst thing that can happen here? Let me just go for the coffee and kind of get him off my back. Okay, so off she goes for the coffee, and they go to the canteen and they start drinking. I think she has tea, he has coffee, and they start speaking. And she says, all of a sudden, and by the way, he's telling her like a really interesting story, and he's really clever. So she says, all of a sudden, she starts to feel this little tingling in her stomach. She starts to feel slightly lightheaded. The hairs on her arms begin to stand up a little bit. And she's like, oh my gosh, I might be feeling love. I might be feeling like I might dig this dude. And she says she's feeling these biological responses from the trigger, which is him. And she's like, oh, these are like interesting feelings. I didn't think I had any feelings. Butterflies in the stomach, nervousness. She's like, wow, this is interesting. And she interprets these things as, I might actually like this dude, right? I might like this dude. And this dude, I haven't liked him before, but maybe I'm giving myself a chance to like, I might like him. I might give him a second chance. Okay, I might take him. I didn't think I did, but I'm looking at my biological, physiological response of going, I might take him. So he asks her for a second date. Can we do this again? She says yes, because I might like this dude. She goes back to her office. She carries on with her yes, no's, and all of a sudden she says she has to run to the bathroom, and she starts to vomit profusely, and she vomits so much so that eventually she has to phone a friend to take her to the hospital. They draw blood and they realize that she has a bacterial infection, and she wasn't feeling love, she was feeling sick. All right, she was feeling sick. Those were the beginning stages of feeling sick. Dizziness, lightheadedness, the stomach was churning, the hair on the skin, right? It wasn't love, it was the beginning of feeling sick. She interpreted the biological response as something else. We do this all the time, me and you. Think about how nervousness and excitement feel the same. Anxiety and excitement can feel the same in the body, right? When you go to the brain and you say, please find anger, please find excitement, please find grief, please, you cannot find an emotion. What you'll find is the biological response and thoughts. Can't find an emotion in the brain, right? Now, why this is important is because we need to understand what emotions are. And emotions are really the interpretation of what my body is doing. So when we speak about our mental health, it's really important to begin to understand this. But what happens in the fourth stage now is we behave in a particular way based on our interpretation of what our body is doing. And either we behave rationally based on a rational emotion, a rational biological response, a rational thought, or we behave irrationally because the emotion is irrational, the behavior, the biology is irrational from a trigger in the past, and our thoughts about it are irrational. So what do I mean by rational versus irrational? Well, we have a look at the spider. It's rational to want to run away from a spider because we understand that spiders are dangerous. However, if it's a non-dangerous, let's say a guinea pig, I don't know if guinea pigs are dangerous. Any of you have had bad guinea pig experiences? But this complete fear of a guinea pig might be irrational, and we might not have to run and try to kill the guinea pig, right? That might not be a rational, logical reaction to the particular thing. So it is not always the case that our thoughts, our emotions, and our biology are rational, are true, are logical. There could be places where they lie to us about particular things. Let's quickly, before we move on to the next step, just go and look at something like seeing your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend after 1 month of them being abroad. Okay, trigger. You see them walking through the Windhoek airport gates. You see them coming back to you. Okay, so what happens? The heart begins to beat. the biology begins to happen. The heart begins to beat. You begin to get excited. It feels really good. What is the emotion? I've missed them. I'm excited. I run to them with behavior and I give them a big hug. Okay, the same thing continuously happens even when we have good experiences. Now, what's important to remember about this whole thing and why we're speaking about it straight up here on Mental Health Awareness Month is because we've got to understand that the only thing me and you have absolute control over is the behavior. The behavior, right? We don't have control over our emotions. We don't have control over our biology, and we don't necessarily, we don't have thoughts over we don't have control over our thoughts. Now, when we change our behavior, it has the ability to impact emotions, biology, and thoughts. But at the core, we can't control those three things on that side of the line. And let me explain how. Let me show you why I say that. Okay, thoughts. I want you to, for a moment, control your thoughts for me and don't think about a pink elephant. Okay, don't think about a pink elephant. Don't think about the fact that the pink elephant is in your room. Don't think about a pink elephant at all. Don't think about the fact that it's ridiculous that you're thinking about a pink elephant. Stop thinking about a pink elephant. Okay, good. Stop thinking. Okay, who could control that? Any of you? No. Okay, each and every one of you were thinking about a pink elephant or thinking not about a pink elephant or trying not to think about a pink elephant, but the truth is we all thought about the pink elephant. You can't control your thoughts. Okay, what about your biology? I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and make your leg numb for me. Make it completely numb. So numb that if I walked up to you and pinched you, you wouldn't feel it. Right now, just do that. Without sitting on it, just thinking about it, just controlling the biology. Go. Okay, can't do that either. You can't control your biology. Okay, what about your emotions? Well, we know for a fact that when we're angry, we can't just switch off anger. When we're grieving, we can't just switch off grieving, right? So where does our locus of control sit? It sits at the only thing we can control, our behavior. That's where the locus of control sits, our behavior. Why is this important when we speak about mental health? Because, and I'm going to get to that in a moment, let me just go and have a look at some of the questions that are coming in today. So one of the things I can't help you with, Alina, unfortunately, is when it comes to Namibian health risk solutions and MPA, I can't do that. I'm unfortunately an external service provider, so I don't have an answer, but we will send that through to our contacts for you. Good to be here learning about mental health. Thank you so much. I'm Orange. Thank you so much. Okay, there we go. Good stuff. Okay, so let's go back and let's focus a little bit on what we're speaking about here and why we're speaking about controlling our own behavior when we speak about mental health awareness. Okay, I want to introduce you to something called the coin theory. And the coin theory works like this. I want you to imagine that every morning you wake, you have 100 coins in your hand, okay? And they're finite for that day. And when you go to bed at night, they'll reset and you wake up with another 100 coins. Now, I want you to imagine that you hold these 100 coins in your hand throughout the day and you can spend coins on particular things. In other words, things cost you coins all day. And what are these things that cost you coins? Any practical or physical thing that you do, any intellectual thing or any emotional thing. So in other words, thoughts or emotions that you think about or are engaged in, they cost you coins. Okay, so technically any thoughts, emotions or actions cost you coins. So you've got 100 coins. So I want you to imagine you wake up in the morning and you've got 100 coins. And the first thing you do is you grab your phone and you read the news. And as you do that, you throw 10 coins at it, right? Then you get up and you get into the car and you start driving and someone pulls out in front of you and blocks you off and drives really badly. And again, I was in Windhoek not too long ago, and as our South African taxis could be, but I'm sure that they can be sometimes a little bit ridiculous. And so a taxi pulls out in front of you. And what do you choose to do? You choose to swear at the taxi. You choose to flip them the bird. You choose to get upset with them. So you throw your coins at them, right? So now you get to work and you've already spent 25 coins. And then your boss comes to you and says something that's kind of upsetting. And the boss walks away and you start thinking and ruminating and getting upset with the boss. So you throw coins at that as well. Now we've already spent 60 coins by the time lunch comes, and then by the time evening comes, we've now spent all of our 100 coins, and we get home and our kids want to play with us, but we are completely exhausted because why? We've spent all of our coins. Okay, we've spent all of our coins. So our coins are finite. Our coins, we can only spend a certain amount of coins before we are completely drained, before we can't do anything, before we just want to lie on the couch and do absolutely nothing. We can't do anything else. Okay. Now, what's important about this coin theory too is something called the law of attention. And the law of attention says to us, the law of attention says, or the law of focused intent says also to us that the more we spend coins on a particular thing, the more we see that particular thing, the more we engage in that particular thing. So the brain is created to wire our thoughts, and every time something says, if it fires, as someone once said to me, if it fires, it wires. In other words, our brain is used to finding connections that it does all the time and consistently works with that. So in other words, I don't know if you've ever gone, myself and my partner, we're going to buy a car. And we went to go and look at a brand that we hadn't really seen before in South Africa. We just heard about it. It's quite a new brand. And off we go and look at the car. We quite liked the car. It was a nice SUV. It was a really cool car. And I was like, I've never seen these cars on the road. And as we drive out, you see the first one, and you see the second one, and you see the third one, and you see the fourth one. You think, jeez, I mean, where were these cars before this? What had happened was our brain just didn't see them, even though they were there. Same thing as if you learn a new word, right? If you learn a new word, all of a sudden you start reading, you see the word again, you see the word again. It's not like the word just appeared. The word was always there, but our brain just didn't focus on it. So what's important to understand, and just like the slide says to you, it's like your For You page on TikTok or Instagram, right? The algorithm is the same as our brain. What you focus on, you begin to see. In other words, the content, the coins that you give attention to, this begins to fill up your mind. So if you are on Instagram and you go and look at dog yoga, then you'll find next time you go on, you'll see lots of dog yoga. The brain's the same way. What you've spent your coins on continuously throws up. Okay, this is the feed. This is the For You page. It always pops up for you. This is the law of focused intent. And there's a reason why the brain does this. But it's interesting because usually now we have to ask ourselves the question, okay, what should we or shouldn't we throw our coins at? In other words, what depletes us and what replenishes us? What is valuable to use or throw the coins at, and what's not? And I'm going to introduce you to a theory called the Escher theory. And the Escher theory is what we shouldn't throw our coins at. Okay, what we shouldn't throw our coins. So I want you to have a look at this picture. It's not as clear as it could be. On your screen right now, there's a picture, and this is by an artist called Escher. And this artist goes and he creates these really weird sort of things that we kind of can't figure out. Okay, so we kind of can't make sense of this drawing. And the more you look at this drawing, you'll begin to see that it really is complex, right? It's like going up, going down. Is it up? Is it down? Is it left? Is it right? I'm looking at it here on my left-hand screen. I can't figure out if that dude's going up or down, or can't make sense of it, okay? And that's called an Escher drawing. Can't make sense of it. Now, there are certain things in your life that are going to be Eschers, and they are not worth investing coins in. What are these things? Well, Eschers are some things that do not make sense, something that has no answer, something that you have no control over, or something that adds no value to your life. And it's really important for you to begin to sit down and think long and hard about you spending your coins on these Eschers. See, the truth is, friends, there are some things that don't make sense in the world. There's just some things that don't make sense. There's some things that no matter how much you try to figure out, they don't make sense. I was reading a book about quantum physics the other day, and there was this whole long explanation about how when we think about quantum-sized things, again, you see my brain, gravity doesn't work. I read this thing and I read it again and I read it again and I read it again, and I realized, this thing just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, this thing doesn't make sense to me. And there are going to be many things like that in the world. Why is it that humans go to war first? That's their first port of call to try to solve something. Violence. It doesn't make sense to me. In my head, violence begets violence. and there's no ways that I can figure out why. It just doesn't make sense to me, no matter who you are, no matter how much you try to explain it to me, why we both can't just sit around a table and figure out a solution just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, some things have no answers, and this is really important. There's certain things that we throw out and they're just going to get no answers back to us. And then there are a whole bunch of things that you cannot control. Okay, you have no control over. And from the Stoic philosophers all the way to our psychologists today, great psychologists today, they'll tell you that the key to life is learning that some things you don't have control over. And finally, there are some things that add no value to your life. So the idea behind the Escher is this. The idea behind the theory is this. It says to us that emotions and thoughts that make no sense, that have no answer, that sometimes you have no control over, or that add no value into your life, either persons, conversations, or circumstances, should not for one moment, these things, we should not for one moment spend coins on them. We should not be sitting and having conversations about things that make no sense, about things we have no answer to, about things we have no control over, or things that do not add value to our life. We should not be actioning on things that, let's go back one, make no sense, that have no answer, that we have no control over, and that add no value to our lives. And it's the same as circumstances. So we shouldn't be spending our coins on things we have no control over. So let's go back a second and let's go back to the taxi driver who decided they were going to cut us off in the traffic today. So we're driving to work and they cut us off in the traffic. Now let's go back one step and ask ourselves, do we have control over their behavior? And do they add value to our lives? The answer is wasting coins on a taxi driver who cuts in front of you, unless you want to become a Metropolitan Police Officer, unless you want to become a Swartkoppmund Metropolitan Police Officer, then probably you spending coins on that adds no value to your life. And so we call those things an Escher, right? Do not spend coins on Eschers. Instead, spend coins on things that add value to your life. Now you might say to me, Grant, what adds value to my life? Pretty simple. Value can be assessed within the context of your end goal. What is your end goal? What do you want to achieve? And any action, thought, or emotion, does it lead me closer to that end goal or further away from that end goal? And that's as simple as it is. Every thought, every action, every emotion that I have, does it lead me closer to the goal or does it take me further away from the goal? So let's use the basic example of the spider earlier. There's a spider in the right-hand corner. My goal is to stay alive. That's the end dream. Okay, so spending coins on the spider and running away from it, is it good or bad? It's good. Why? Because we know that it leads me closer to my end goal of being alive, right? Let's think about the example of when I said the boss walked in. And let's say you have resigned from your job. In other words, you only have 30 days left. You resign today, you have 30 days left. And the boss comes in and she or he starts bombing you, okay, just coming down on you really hard. And you know that it wasn't something you could have controlled, something that you did, right? Is it worth spending hours and hours and hours ruminating about it, thinking about it, talking to your family members about it, talking to your colleagues about it, getting angry about it, writing an email and deleting the email, writing an email and sending it to HR when you've resigned? Okay, when you've resigned, is it worth the battle? The answer is no, because the end goal is not to stay here and become amicable with the boss. The end goal is not this work. So in other words, right there and then we forget about what happened with the boss and we carry on with things that are of value to us. Okay, another scenario is you do want to stay here. You do want to work with this boss. You do want to move up in this company. You do want to be a valuable part of this business. So now when the boss comes in and you have that, is it worth investing the coins in that thing? Yes, it's worth discussing with the boss. It's worth trying to sort it out. Why? Because the end goal is I want to become a manager at this establishment. Right, so look at the end goal and I assess my actions by do they lead me closer to that end goal? Use another example then. Is it worth, if I want to become a manager at this business, If I want to move up in this business, is it worth sitting with a colleague and bad mouthing the boss? Does it lead me closer to becoming a manager? No, it doesn't. So don't do it. Okay, don't do it. Now, there are a few principles and laws when it comes to value that I want to speak about. The 9 principles of the coin theory. Number 1 first is history does not mean value. In other words, just because you have a history with a person or a thing or an action doesn't mean that it now offers value in your life. Okay. Second one is future potential value does offer value. In other words, if I need to invest in the boss and the experience now because it can give me future value, I'm going to invest in the boss now, even though it's hard. The next one is title doesn't mean value. In other words, the title of mom, the title of dad, the title of cousin, the title of uncle does not mean value. You have to attest that relationship or assess that relationship within the value of the end goal. Okay, the value of the end goal. So just because you are my stepfather doesn't mean that I have to invest in that relationship. Okay, if you are a terrible, horrible person and I don't want to have a relationship with you, just because you have the title of stepfather doesn't mean I have to invest in you. Okay, indirect value, however, does have value. So in other words, if my mom is married to someone and I want to have a good relationship with my mom, I do have to invest in my stepfather to have a relationship with my mom. In other words, it's indirect value and I have to invest in it. Number 5 is consistency always equals value. Number 6 is when we felt like we have invested too much, you'll feel hurt, frustrated, emotionally spent, and resentful. So when you get home at night and you feel hurt, frustrated, disappointed, emotionally spent, and resentful, know that you've spent coins on the wrong things. Okay, understand that you've gone and spent coins, you've emotionally, through your thoughts, your actions, have spent coins on the wrong things, the wrong people, the wrong ideas, because otherwise you wouldn't feel hurt, frustrated, disappointed, emotionally spent, and resentful. Right, the next one is when you invest too much, there are 3 options that you can do. Either you communicate, negotiate, and compromise, or you lower your investment, or you accept the fact that some things are what they are. Okay, there's going to be times in your life where you're going to have to invest coins in things that you don't necessarily think are going to lead you have value for you, but it's really important to remember it is what it is. Okay, remember the law of intent. What we invest our coins in comes back to us. And finally, do not invest a single coin in an Esha. Okay, why are we speaking about this in Mental Health Awareness Month as we launch this bingo experience? Why are we doing this? We're doing this because you have a limited amount of coins and you need to spend them on the things that provide value for you, that bring you close to your goals, that bring you close to your vision, that bring you closer to your ultimate end game. And the only thing you can control is your behavior. Adults base their behavior on goals, visions, and blueprints. Children base their behavior on feelings. Oh, it doesn't feel nice to eat broccoli, therefore I'm not going to eat broccoli. That's what a child does. Oh, it feels nice to eat chocolate, therefore I'm going to eat 3 kilograms of chocolate. That's what a child does. An adult goes, hold on, my goal is to be healthy. My goal is to eat well so that I can be healthy, so that I can live long and that I can be a good father. Therefore, I'm going to eat broccoli. My goal is to be healthy. My goal is to live long and be a good father. Therefore, I'm not going to eat 2 kilograms of chocolate. Okay, so we can assess the value of our behavior within the context of the goal, the blueprint, the vision, the big vision. And this is where this comes into play now. Right. So when we think about self-care, we think about 3 spheres of self-care. We call this the BPS model, the Biopsychosocial Model. When we look after our mental health, we have to take these 3 spheres into account, and I'm going to make it a little bit easier for you by bringing these up. You have to think of your sleep, your exercise, and your diet. You have to think about your relationships at work, your relationships at home, what we call your love relationships. Okay, and we have to think about how we play, how we show up in the world in a fun way. And finally, we have to think about life purpose, our meaning, our meaningful actions, and our contributions to the world. These 3 spheres are going to be very important when we think about the end goal. When we think about, I want to be happy, less depressed, less anxious. Okay, that's my aim. I want to look after my mental health. The way you look after your mental health is you begin to say to yourself, okay, cool. What is the vision for my career and my finances? What is the vision for my family, friends, romance? What is the vision for my diet, exercise, sleep? And what is my daily action in my religion or my spirituality, my hobbies, my self-development, my relaxation, my feel good now, and my physical environment? If I look at my vision and my actions every day, and I look at all of these categories, we call these the 8 anchors and the 6 sub-anchors. If I look at all of those, I can begin to slowly create a proactive mental health plan for myself. If I have a big vision for my career, a big vision for my finances, and I buy that dream, I live that dream, I marry that dream, I marry that vision. Okay, so let's take finances, for example. I want to be financially stable. I want my children to be able to go to the best possible version of a school that I can find, the best possible version of a university if I want to. And then, in other words, I want to be able to provide as best I can for my family. I want you to give that finance thing a number. I want it to be bold. I want it to be a dream. And I want you to ask yourself the question, am I investing coins in financial freedom? Am I investing coins so every action that I make, everything I spend my money on, is it taking me closer or further away from my dream? So now when I've got a car that I need to buy and I look at the cars and I say to myself, okay, cool, is it worth investing $1 million Namibian dollars on a car versus maybe 750,000? I don't know. I can't answer, but I can tell you which leads you closer or further away from your dream, your vision, your goal. Okay, you tell me. What about your career? How do I invest in my career? What is my dream? What is my marry the dream, marry the idea? The same with your family. My vision is to be the best possible version of a husband, the best possible version of a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. That's the romantic. Family, the best possible version of a brother or a son. How do I show up like that? For my friends, how do I show up like that? My diet, my exercise, my sleep, right? In other words, what is your vision? What is your goal for your diet, your exercise, and your sleep? Do you have it? Do you know it? Do you action on it? And finally, what we call our sub-anchors. In other words, every day, I want you to think about how you're showing up spiritually and religiously. Are you taking time for your hobbies? Are you taking time for self-development? Are you taking time for relaxation? Are you enjoying the feel-good things now, a cup of coffee and a little bit of chocolate? And are you looking after your physical environment? And the moment you can have the vision and have the little steps that lead you to these things, we can then answer the question, now I know for a fact that I am spending my coins on the correct things. I'm spending my coins on the right things. How do I know that? Well, I go back. Okay, I go back and I say to myself, cool, here we go. Career, finance, family, romantic, diet, exercise, sleep, 6 anchors. Okay, cool. I'm investing in the right things. So what we're going to do over the next month is me and you are going to play bingo together. And when we play bingo together, we are going to be investing in all the right things. So I don't want you to think too hard about what I've spoken about right now. This was just a setup to invest our coins in the right thing. And this is how bingo is going to work. So throughout the Mental Health Awareness Month, me and you are going to spend our coins on things that offer us value, things that make us happier, that have been scientifically proven to make us happier, things that make us less depressed and less anxious. We are going to invest our coins in all of these things. And we are going to not invest our coins in ashes, not invest our coins in things we can't control, not invest in coins that things that don't make sense to us, not invest coins in things that add no value to our lives. We're going to spend the month investing in things that we know lead us closer to happiness, less depression, less anxiety. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to do that by playing the bingo board. Right. So there are 4 steps in playing the bingo game over the next month. The first step is that we are going to ask you to pair up with a self-care buddy. In other words, I want you to find someone that is technically what we call your self-care buddy. So we've been playing around with this, the bingo board, obviously, for about a month before we came trying it out. And so I have a buddy at work and me and the buddy, and I'm laughing because this weekend, my buddy ticked off 8 of their things and I only ticked off 2. So they were magic, right? They just went and they did their thing. And so me and the buddy are talking. We are messaging each other, and technically my buddy is going to be my accountability buddy. They're going to be the person that signs off and that says, yes, Grant did do this, or no, Grant hasn't done this yet, but he will do this, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete a task, and we're going to speak through all of the tasks now in a moment. Then I'm going to get my buddy to sign off on that task. So I'm going to show my buddy that I drank 8 liters of water. I'm going to show my buddy, not 8 liters, 8 glasses. I'm going to show my buddy that I'm at a yoga class, whatever it is. Okay, my buddy's going to sign it off at the end of this. And once you've completed all your tasks, I want you to send the completed board to us to win some incredible prizes. And friends, I've just seen the list of prizes and I cannot wait to show them to you, and I cannot wait to give them to you for looking after yourselves over the next month. So you send your completed bingo board to bingo@mindfulrevolution.io. So that's bingo at mindfulrevolution.io. And I've sent that through on your chat right now. So bingo@mindfulrevolution.io. By the way, if you don't have your bingo board yet, I'm going to ask you to please send us an email so that we can send you your bingo board. All right, so what does this bingo board look like? Well, let's go through it together and let's start on the top. So the first one, eat a healthy lunch. Get that one signed off. Then practice 5 minutes of mindfulness. Give a colleague a shout out. Go to dinner with friends and family. Attend a group exercise class. Spend a few minutes thinking about your goals and tracking how you're doing. Take a walk, a 10-minute walk during your lunch break. Read a well-being article. Try a new self-care activity, which you haven't tried before. Phone a friend that you haven't spoken to and connected to in forever. Try a healthy recipe tonight. Make up your own self-care tip and let us know what it is and sign that off. Try mindful movement for 10 minutes. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Have a healthy breakfast. Try a yoga or Tai Chi class online or in person. Share a mental health resource with a colleague. Try a new healthy snack during the day. Take a digital detox for an hour before you go to bed. In other words, stop looking at your phone, or maybe the hour that you wake up in the morning. Take a stretch break at your desk. Read an article on EQ. Get a good night's rest, 7 to 8 hours. Drink 8 glasses of water, or share a wellness tip with your colleague. Now, what you'll begin to notice as you go through all of these things is that they form the scientific basis for either looking after our biology, our physical health, either looking after our social connection, or either looking after our psychology. So as we go through those things again, you can begin to see eat a nutritious lunch. That's about your physical health, your biology. Take a 5-minute mindfulness practice. That's your psychology. Give a colleague a shout out. That's your connection. So you'll notice the 3 spheres of holistic health coming through all of these particular things. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to say, okay, cool. Can I invest my coins in things that offer me value? How do I know they offer me value? Because they make me happier, less depressed, less anxious, and that's the end goal. That's what I want. So during October Mental Awareness Month, what I'm going to ask you to do is share this board with your friends, your colleagues, get them to join in, get them to have some fun, get them to do these things, get them to try these things. Maybe they've never been to a yoga class before and it's weird and it's people are in tights, and the yoga class that you decided to go to, they do some funny humming in the beginning and some blowing out of their nose and some funny breathing exercises, and this is all new and weird for you. I want you to do it. I want you to try it, right? Don't judge it. Put your coins into things that are going to lead you towards happiness, towards less depression, towards less anxiety. Share a wellness tip with a colleague. Go and find a wellness tip somewhere. Go and look it up. Go and read it. Go and share it with someone you think needs it. That's that connection thing. That's connecting with each other again. And try each of these things. Try to sign them off with your buddy. Now, there is a set of support that we're going to give you. So there are a bunch of masterclasses that you can come to. The next masterclass we're going to speak about is what is anxiety and what is depression. Then we're going to speak about the mind-body connection and how important our biology, our diet, exercise, sleep is for our mental wellness. And finally, we're going to wrap it up on the 10th. We're going to ask some of you to come on. We're going to ask some of you to share your stories with us. We're going to do the prize giving, and we're going to give away some incredible prizes if you've completed your board. Now, we also have a set of and a little bit of help for you along the way, and these are called booster sessions. So just going back to the previous one, the next session takes place on the 16th of October, where we're going to speak about anxiety and depression, the mind-body connection on the 23rd, and on the 25th of October, we're going to wrap it all up. Then, like I said, during these things, we're going to have these 15-minute little booster sessions. And what these are is they're going to help you tick off your bingo board. So join us on the 10th, which is, when is that? That's tomorrow. Join us tomorrow at 11 o'clock, where we're going to speak about diet. And we're going to speak about how important it is, and maybe we're going to give you some nice little recipes to try for the snacks and the healthy breakfast and the healthy lunch that you have to complete. Then on the 12th, remember on your bingo board, it said have a good night's sleep. We're going to speak about sleep. We're going to speak about how to get yourself to have a good night's sleep. Then on the 17th, one of the boards that you had, there it is over there, it's taking a stretching break. Well, why don't you just join us on the 17th, where we're going to teach you some stretches that you can do in the office. And then finally on the 24th, we're going to do a really cool gratitude session. It's a wonderful session to begin to fire up that gratitude and make you feel really good about yourself and the world around you. And what you can do is just come on through, and then once you've completed that, sign them off and off you go. Right? Someone asking me, Grant, what if I complete all these things within a week? Good job. Can I complete as many as I can? Yes, you can. You can complete 2 boards, 3 boards, 4 boards, 5 boards, and send those through to us. You can do this 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times if you want to, right? Remember that this is all about your mental health. And so by doing more of them, by doing them more often, by sharing them with friends and family, by getting stuck in to the board, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Because at the end of the day, the value of your actions can only be assessed within the context of your goal. Is the action valuable? Does it lead me closer to good mental health or further away? And the answer is these actions bring me closer to mental health. So what I need to do is I need to go and I need to practice it. I need to get stuck into it. I want to end with actually 2 things. One, I'm going to remind us again of the Escher, and I'll talk about that in a moment, because it's important to remember what we're not going to engage in and not only what we are going to engage in. So what we are going to engage in over the next month are these practices, these things. What we're not going to engage in is an Escher, okay? I want us to begin to try as best we can over the next month to not think about, participate in, or have emotions towards, and remember, Eschers can be persons, conversations, or circumstances, internal or external. I want us to begin to try not to focus on things that don't make sense. I want us to begin to try not to focus on things that have no answers. I want to begin to ask us to try not focus on things we don't have control over, and don't invest in things that don't bring value to your life. Okay, what can we invest in then? Well, why don't we invest in the biopsychosocial spheres of our lives? Can we take this month to really invest in ourselves, to really invest in our mental health? Can we help those around us? Can we give them the bingo board and say, let's do this together? Can we check with our self-care buddy where they are and if we can go do the yoga class together? Maybe it's an online yoga class. Maybe you find it on YouTube and you and your buddy do it together. You pull up the Skype, you pull up the Zoom, you pull up the MS Teams, your buddy's on the other side of Namibia, but together you're doing the yoga lesson together, right? Are you sitting down with your buddy or your family or your friends and writing down 3 things that you're grateful for? Your kids tonight, maybe that's the practice you do every night for the whole of October. Why are we doing this? Because we are investing in things that bring us value. Okay, and we're focused on those things. So friends, that's pretty much it for the introduction today. I hope that it has been of value to you, and I hope that you will join us on our bingo journey for the next month. If you haven't got your bingo board, please send an email to bingo@mindfulrevolution.io, and then a reminder, we have sessions, these hourly long sessions on the 16th, the 23rd, and the 25th, and then we have booster sessions starting tomorrow and every Tuesday for the rest of the month that are going to help you tick off those bingo boards. So those are talking about food, talking about sleep. We're going to have a stretch, and we're going to do a really fun, fired up online gratitude session on the 24th of October. Okay, thank you so much, friends. Look after yourselves and good luck with your bingo. I'll see you over the next month pretty often in both the boosters and the masterclasses. And then I can't wait to draw your name and make you a winner at the end of the month. And remember, we can only assess the value of an action a thought or an emotion within the context of the end goal. The end goal is to be happy, to be less anxious, to be less depressed. Cool. So then we work on biopsychosocial sphere and we invest in those things. Don't invest in inertia. Look after yourselves. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.